Salutations, people of the internet. Welcome to the database. As a kid, when you see a pack that says 10 games in one, or a movie collection that's a complete trilogy of a movie series, you get really excited about it. But then there are some collections of multiple things that are a bit disappointing in quantity and sometimes in quality. And despite my nostalgia biases for this fun-sized pack in particular, I guess that sums my feelings for the game that I'm about to discuss. Released in September of 1996 in North America, Kirby Superstar marks Kirby's next mainline game to debut on the Super Nintendo. Though this wasn't the first time the Super Nintendo was gifted the pink buff ball, as two spin-offs, Kirby's Dream Course and Kirby's Avalanche, debuted couple years prior. Kirby Superstar was advertised as 8 games in one, with 6 short adventures that share the same gameplay style and 2 one-button minigames. The game was considered a huge success and marked by many Kirby fans as one of, if not the best Kirby game in the series. That also includes its enhanced remake on the Nintendo DS in 2008, Kirby Superstar Ultra, that adds even more features and modes than the original. With that being said, welcome back to the Summer of Kirby Marathon, where I talk about Kirby games all summer long. If you want to check out the last Kirby game within this marathon, where I talked about Kirby's Dream Land 2, you can check it out right here. For this go around, I'll be discussing the pseudo game compilation through footage gathered using the Super Nintendo emulator on the Nintendo Switch. I'll also be looking over the enhanced remake on the DS as well. So let's get things started. This is Kirby Superstar and Superstar Ultra. As mentioned earlier, the gameplay style for Kirby Superstar plays exactly the same in all the main subsections, with a hint of twist to make each one of them unique. For the first time in the Kirby series, Kirby spawns a unique hat design that indicates the type of ability he has copied. There are a total of 25 copy abilities in this game. 12 of them are older copy abilities from Kirby's Adventure, while 13 of them are brand new abilities. Some of them would also become Kirby staples in their own right, though 5 out of 25 of them are either useless like the sleep one, or only used once and it's gone. So in reality, you get to play as 20 abilities. If you want to know my favorite copy ability I enjoy using in this game, there are Mirror, which is an underrated ability if you ask me, as well as Bomb and the Yo-Yo one. Many of these abilities also have multiple unique input that allows them to become more versatile than before, becoming the groundwork for Masahiro Sakurai's Super Smash Bros. Series. Many copy abilities have more than one command depending on the player's input on Kirby's movement. Most of them have unique dash attacks like Beam, Cutter, and Sword, while copy abilities like Fire carry moveset from older copy abilities like Burning, Dash Attack, or Plasma becoming a projectile-based version of Spark. And these are much easier to manage and understand compared to the animal copy ability combinations in Kirby's Dream Lands 2 and 3. If you have a copy ability, you can press a button to summon a helper companion that kinda serves as player 2 for most of your adventure. These helpers take the form of Kirby's enemies with a different color palette to help them stand out. Though not all copy abilities will grant you helpers, like this Cook ability that lets you turn enemies into health items, or this great new Crash. Yeah. Though if you're playing the Ultra remake, rather than constantly summoning helpers in order to play with a different copy ability, the remake lets you discard his current ability without helper summons. How convenient. In Milky Way Wishes, however, the signature way of getting copy abilities will never work. Instead, in its place are copy essences that Kirby must find across different stages. Once Kirby finds a copy essence, he has a copy ability forever, and the player can pick which copy ability they want to use on the fly with a button through a pause menu, or in Ultra's remake with a touchscreen. Are they kissing? How adorable. Finally, before we get into the different modes in Kirby Superstar, the last thing I want to mention is that this game introduces Kirby having a guard button, which would also be a mechanic for Smash Bros. All I'm saying is that Kirby Superstar alone has set tons of blueprints and gameplay philosophy for not just all Kirby games going forward, but for the Super Smash Bros. Series as well, and that is just an amazing feat to accomplish. When booting Kirby Superstar up for the first time, the first mode you're gifted to is Spring Breeze, which is basically a shortened remake of the first Kirby's Dream Land, minus the appearance of Kabula, which we'll discuss later. Then there's Dynablade, an original adventure that features a world map with separate stages. This also features tons of secret areas and rooms for copy abilities for players to practice in. The story for this mode is simple as well, where Kirby stops Dynablade from destroying crops, and at the end of the mode, he nurtures the baby Dynablades in exchange. Next, there's a Gourmet race, where Kirby and King Dedede race each other to finish across 3 tracks while eating the most food as possible. This mode features one of the most iconic tracks in the Kirby series, as well as a time attack mode for those 3 tracks. The Great Cave Offensive is next, and this breaks the linear formula in Kirby's game in favor of an explorative adventure. After Kirby falls down a giant hole on the ground, Kirby must navigate through different sections of the cave, while also finding all 60 treasures along the way. You don't need to find all the treasures in one setting, as there are save points found within the 4 sections of the cave. Finally, in the original Superstar, there's the Revenge of Meta Knight and Milky Way Wishes. Revenge of Meta Knight sees Kirby racing against the clock, as Meta Knight sets forth on taking over Popstar with his signature aircraft, the Hellbird. As Kirby destroys sections of the Hellbird with the help of the returning Dynablade, Kirby goes mano-a-mano against Meta Knight in a sword fight, ending with Kirby and his wheelie helper escaping the descending destroyed Hellbird. I love the intensity of this mode, and the boss fights are the best as well. My favorite fight here is the reactor, where you have to direct the attacks back at the reactor core. Milky Way Wishes starts with the Sun and Moon fighting, also known as Mr. Shine and Mr. Bright in Kirby's Dream Land 2 and Kirby's Adventure. A little jester named Marx tells Kirby to gather star power across the different planets near Popstar to summon the giant wishing comet Nova. Once Kirby manages to summon Nova, Marx takes the opportunity to show his true colors and wishes Nova the power to conquer Popstar. The final act begins as Kirby uses the starship and the power of the stars to stop Nova, and uses his own ability to stop Marx in one of the most iconic final boss fights in Kirby's history. As Marx crashes into Nova, it destroys the comet, and Kirby goes back home to Popstar and sleeps in peace at home, ending Kirby Superstar. That is, once you beat Milky Way Wishes, you unlock the arena, a gauntlet of boss fights of all the bosses within Superstar, ending with one last fight against Marx, and you then unlock a sound test. Cool. Although the format of the arena will later be used in all of future Kirby games, starting with the return of Dreamland, and the resting area will be used in Smash Bros. All-Star mode from Melee to Smash 4 Wii U and 3DS. Now that's all of the original Kirby Superstar out of the way, and in the next section we'll be covering some of the new content featured in Ultra's remake on the DS. Superstar Ultra features all the content from the original game, alongside new improvements as well as content exclusive to the remake. For starters, there are graphical updates in this remake. The lighting for all the stages have been improved upon, and the best part of these fixes on the original subsection games are 2 things. The first is in the Great Cave Offensive, where on the touchscreen you see your progress on whatever treasures you're missing in that area, and how much you've collected so far. The second involves Milky Way Wishes use of the touchscreen, not just within the copy abilities, but telling you how many essences there are per stage. Now for the new stuff. Revenge of the King is basically a harder version of Spring Breeze, which means this is based off of Kirby's Dream Land's Extra mode. Kabula actually makes an appearance in this remake in this neat shoot 'em up sequence, akin to the Nova section from Milky Way Wishes. Then the final boss in this game featured the hardest boss fight in all of Kirby, Bandana Waddle Dee. Oh yeah, and I guess this masking Dedede, I guess. Seriously though, this is actually a cool fight too. Your flight is limited because of the electric cage above, and Dedede is so hell-bent on revenge, he offers you a hammer before the fight begins. That's hardcore. Meta Nightmare Ultra is your time attack endurance mode in this game, where you play as Meta Knight as you progress through all the 6 original subsections from Superstar, ending with the debut of the coolest boss in the Kirby series, Galactic, who is somehow even harder than the OG Meta Knight and Masking Dedede combined. With the touchscreen, you're gifted with option to use energy spears you collected, and exchange them for faster speed, health replenishment, or call upon a sword helper and unleash a screen nuke attack that easily takes down bosses. Finally, Helper to Hero and the True Arena are boss gauntlets, much like the original arena. Helper to Hero allows you to play as the helper enemies in a series of challenges, ending with a boss fight against not just Wham Bam Rock from the Great Cave Offensive, but the new Wham Bam Jewel, exclusive to Ultra. Honestly, I can't tell the difference here. The True Arena features all the mid-level and major bosses from the new subsections of Ultra, ending with an even more cooler boss fight with Marx's Soul, who's basically a dead Mark that just absorbed the remains of the Comet Nova, and is now more purple and creepier, and can even spill pink and blue paint. Kirby is for kids. One ear-destroying screech later. And that was Kirby Superstar Ultra. This game also features 3D cutscenes as well as a blooper reel for 100% completing the game. The game features 3 minigames that use a DS's touchscreen and stylus. And while they're all reactionary based, Snack Tracks is the highlight minigame of the 3, where you tap bombs to your opponent and tap away bugs in order to eat as much food as possible. There's also 2-player download play, but like many games I covered on this channel, I never bother with multiplayer, so let's wrap it up. For the first time ever on the Database Network series, my final grade for Kirby Superstar and Superstar Ultra is an A+. This is a fantastic and well put together Kirby game from top to bottom. Regardless of what version you play, you're gonna have a fun time with either one of them. Though if I were to pick one version, it's obviously Superstar Ultra. The added content with 4 new subsection modes and 3 new touchscreen minigames, plus the new improvements, makes the Ultra version the definitive Superstar experience. Granted, some say the original Superstar can be glitchy at times and hitboxes in that game are jank, but don't let those technical issues ruin your experience with the Super Nintendo original, if you're nostalgic for that version. The first subsection game, Spring Breeze, is a perfect introduction to Kirby and his signature copy ability alongside introducing helpers, and by rewarding players with the other subsection games afterward, it gives players the incentive to see all the other adventures and go for 100% completion. It set the groundwork and foundation for a lot of future Kirby games, with multiple modes, 2 versions of boss gauntlets, different inputs on copy abilities, and a simple to understand yet difficult to master gameplay approach that will be carried over even in 3D recent years. And while I think other Kirby games probably deserve the A+ rank more than this one, if it weren't for Superstar and Superstar Ultra, we wouldn't get the most well-known formula for Kirby games to this day. But what are your thoughts on Kirby Superstar and Superstar Ultra? Let me know in the comments down below. Thumbs up the video if you like it, subscribe to the database, hit the bell icon, and follow me on social media as seen above. Next time on Summer of Kirby Marathon, we'll be checking back on the Dark Matter trilogy as we take a look at Kirby's Dream Land 3. Don't worry, after that I'll look over Kirby's Adventure on the NES and get that over with. I'll make sure my experience with Superstar don't impact my thoughts on Adventure. For now, I'm Christopher James, and I'll see you next time.
His fighting skills are unstoppable. Explosive energy is his to command. He's all these powers and dozens more. He's Kirby, the super amazing puffball from Dreamland.